Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Thursday, the 28th of July. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined by a full squad this morning. And making his morning briefing debut, Craig Vickers. Craig, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. An honour to be on the morning briefing.
You better believe it. If you're subscribing to the website, you'll have seen Craig's great scouting pieces and what have you. He's been writing for the website for a while, so it's great to have him on the video to talk all things Rangers. And as ever, Jonny McFarlane alongside us. How are we doing, Jonny?
Good, mate, good. I was out for a curry last night, feeling a bit delicate this morning, perhaps a little bit spicier than I can cope with, to be frank. So, yeah, if you see me rushing out in the middle of this, you'll know why.
What was your curry of choice?
Well, my curry of choice is normally a Rogan Josh, but last night I thought it would be a little bit daring, and I went for a lamb desi, which is like lamb cooked on the bone, very, very kind of like slow cooked meat, and it was really nice, but it was very, very, very spicy. And as I was eating it, I was like, "This is delicious, but I'm going to pay for this."
Yeah,
and I have paid for it.
Don't
worry, I've got 3 toilet rolls in the freezer.
Aldo says, coming out Jonny like lava. Craig, before we talk all things Rangers, what's your Indian of choice? Did you like it? Are you partial to an Indian or two?
I'm more of a Chinese man, to be honest. I've been to an Indian quite a few times. I couldn't even tell you, to be honest. Like, genuinely just sort of mix it up. Usually something involving chicken or beef, and then I usually just vary my choices so I don't get too bored.
Yeah, Teddy Bear gets in touch. Jonny says Jonny McFarlane.
Oh, this is supposed to be high class. This show. This is Teddy Bear's bringing the standards down here.
Yeah. There's the only way is up. So let's talk all things Rangers. Before we go Emmy McKay with it, all the puns are coming out. What naan bread did you get? What naan bread did you get, Jonny?
A garlic naan, mate. I don't get fancy.
None of this peshwari.
Garlic naan, dripping with garlic butter. That's what you want. I mean, anyone who takes anything but that is for the watching IMO.
Okay. I enjoy a peshwari naan.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm not saying they're not nice, peshwari, but garlic. You just can't beat garlic.
Right. Okay. Right. That's enough. Indian chat for one day, folks. Let's talk all things Rangers, because that's what people are tuning in for. Firstly, I want to touch on comments made by the Hibs owner, Ron Gordon, about Rangers. This was perhaps surprising, but I liked the cut of his jib, what he was saying yesterday. Talking about Rangers' run to the Europa League final, he says, the fact that Rangers made it to the Europa League final is amazing. When you think about it, probably no club has contributed to advancing Scottish football on a European level, or really in general than Rangers in the last 3 years. That's progress. I like these comments, Jonny. And he's let's be honest, he's absolutely bang on. Rangers have been flying the flag for Scottish football in recent years. And I think it's refreshing that another chairman of a Scottish club is coming out and acknowledging that fact.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not incumbent on him to come out and do that, because he's going to obviously likely upset a few in his own support by coming out to say that. So I think Ron Gordon deserves praise for actually rising above the sort of tribalism of Scottish football. I think the context of his comments, he was talking about this Deloitte's review into Scottish football, which has taken place, but we've not seen the detail of it. I've spoken to people who've read it, and they say that there's a number of kind of common sense suggestions for the future of the game. This was commissioned by the Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs. I think Dundee United were involved. Basically, they've employed a company to come and have a look at how the Scottish Premiership is run and make suggestions of how it can be improved in future, with the key aim to ensure that Scottish teams have a better quality of result in European football. So I think Ron Gordon was coming at it from the context of how well Rangers are already doing and the rest of Scottish football stepping up to the mark. And that's really important, I think, especially when you see the first kind of European game so far is Motherwell getting beat by Sligo Rovers. It tells you that there's still an issue in terms of the rest of the teams kind of stepping up to the level that's required. Now, Motherwell, I'm sure, will go through in the next leg and sort that out with another week's fitness under their belts and having had the kind of warning in the first leg. But still, we're all there to collect coefficient points. I think it's important that everyone is performing at the European level. We've seen that the rising tide lifts all boats, and Rangers' performances over the last 3 or 4 years in the Europa League have made such a difference to the coefficient that there's now 2 teams in the Champions League, and Celtic are straight into the Champions League on account of winning the Scottish Premiership. So there's a tangible result of good performance, and we're seeing that this season, and we'll see it next season as well, because the Scottish League is still highly ranked in the top 10 leagues in Europe, which it's been a long way from being up that high while Rangers were going through their well-documented issues since 2012. So it's great to see that back, and that's hugely important for all Scottish football. So it was great to see Ron Gordon just come out and say that.
Yeah, Scottish football is high up there again. Rangers been flying the flag. I noticed that when Rıdvan Yılmaz made the move, and a Turkish journalist suggested that it's a step up from Besiktas, which we know it is, but he did quote that the Scottish League is ranked higher than Turkey, which shows you that shows you just how much progress Rangers have made, because they have been punching above their weight, you could say, in the last few years. But yeah, refreshing to hear that from Ron Gordon, the Hibs owner, about Rangers' run to the Europa League final. Some interesting comments coming. I just wanted to touch on this an interesting one here. Aaron Ramsey, of course, has been released, Craig, from his contract at Juventus. Kieran Scott says, Ramsey back to Rangers. For me, it's a hard no on this one, just more so in the fact that, again, like Kamal Roof and Phil Hollander, you can't really rely on a player of that calibre, albeit he is a top professional, but he's just injured too much of the time. Would you be opposed to that? Could you see that happening and coming back to Ibrox?
Yeah, I would probably be opposed to it. I think Ramsey was a sort of interesting chapter in the recent history of Rangers. He's just way too injury prone. You even saw it last season. You come in for 2 games and you'd see sort of glimmers of what he can produce, and then he goes off with that sort of hamstring injury against Celtic in the semi-final. So
yeah,
I think it's something that he represented a good sort of short-term option, at the time, obviously, because we needed a player of that calibre, and we needed a player of his skill set, especially in January, and especially obviously going deep in Europe as well. But yeah, I think we're pretty well stacked in midfield now. So yeah, I don't think that's something that Gio should explore again.
Yeah, and Johnny, I think in Tom Lawrence, Rangers have got that dynamic midfielder now. I mean, arguably it could possibly be an upgrade. We've seen flashes of what he can do in the pre-season games. I'm excited to see him in action. I think if Rangers had Tom Lawrence last season, I think it could have been different. But I don't think there's any room for an Aaron Ramsey in that squad as it stands right now.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt in Aaron Ramsey's class, and that was obvious and evident even in the short spells that he actually came into the team last season. The problem, as Craig has pointed out, is that the minute he starts to get himself going, he breaks down. So just as he's going up that hill of improved performance based around getting your fitness really sharp and getting yourself razor fit for a match, he just can't really quite get there. Or certainly that's how it looked last season. And given that Rangers already have players with that kind of injury profile in the squad, I don't think they need to be managing more people like that. Now, I know the club have got a great sports science team in there. They've got the Zone 7 AI fitness system that tells you when players are supposed to be needing a rest or their loads are too high. So they've got things there that are going to help them deal with players like that. But fundamentally, if you're injury prone, you're going to get injured. And I was writing about this yesterday. Scottish football is actually pretty unforgiving environment for players who are less robust. Not only is there the physicality of the league, but look at the volume. 38 games in the Scottish Premiership, plus League Cup, plus Scottish Cup, plus Europe, which is group stage and a significant amount of games. And if you get through that... So, I mean, it's not unusual for Rangers and Celtic players to play 65 games in a season. It's 55 to 65 games. And that level of demand means that you're going to have a level of physicality about you that is significant. So I almost think you're in the wrong movie in the first place, because the demands at Rangers are going to be significant. So I think that's why, for me, Aaron Ramsey, I think Ross Wilson was right to go for him. I was excited by the transfer at the time. It was a gamble worth taking to get a real player of quality who could add something significant to the squad. And I think he did actually, when he was playing, was able to add quality. I thought he was good when he was on the pitch. But I wouldn't be gambling with him going forward. I think he needs to go and find a league where it's slightly less physically demanding. For example, if he could go to Spain or the MLS, I think it would be a more appropriate environment for the kind of profile in terms of the injuries that he's been getting.
I don't think he's going to Spain.
Might help him prolong his career.
Yeah. No disrespect to Ramsey, but I don't think I think America, yes, I can see that. There's actually talk down south that the likes of Nottingham Forest and there's another club, I'm sure, and we know that Cardiff have been linked with a move for him as well, his former club. But Forest, Newcastle I've seen quoted as well, apparently sniffing about. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him in the Premier League next season, but he certainly won't be ending up in Glasgow. Question coming in here, one for you, Craig. Guys, got a question. With Lawrence and Tillman coming in, where are Lowry's minutes coming from this season? Now, we know he had a niggling injury. He was sort of recovering from that. We've not really seen him in pre-season. There has been murmurings from some supporters suggesting he might go out on loan. I'm not too sure that's the best scenario for him. Where does Lowry fit into this team, Craig?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking about it yesterday and thinking about some players that maybe we're on the cusp of a breakthrough next season in terms of obviously Lowry, one of them, Charlie McCann, another, Devine, King. So it was interesting sort of looking at the squad depth and where Lowry sort of fits into that, because he can obviously play off the left as well. You saw that towards the end of last season, but you would think that the Gio's always going to stick with a sort of traditional winger on that side as well. So I think Tillman's arrival was an interesting one because Tillman's obviously of a sort of similar age, so and he's obviously only alone for a season, and I imagine Rangers have long-term plans for Tillman as well in terms of buying him permanently next summer. So yeah, it is interesting because you look at obviously Arfield signing a new deal as well. I think it didn't go down unanimously among supporters, and he's a sort of player who I think you can only really turn to off the bench. You look at maybe you're chasing a goal or looking to get a goal back, etc. So Arfield's one of the type of players that you look to for to buy that sort of magic dust in the final third. I think you saw that obviously in the semi-final as well. So yeah, it's a weird one because I think if you take maybe Tillman out of the equation and you had Lowry, I think you're still looking at we're actually pretty stacked in that position. But hopefully we do see a lot of him because he is really talented, and it's been a shame that we'll not be able to see him this pre-season. So yeah, hopefully he can sort of engender minutes from somewhere, and we do see him quite often next season.
Yeah, there's some comments coming in, Johnny. This, I mean, we're not ones to write off a player too early, but this some of the comments coming in. Gallant Pioneer said I can see Tillman returning to Bayern. Aldo reckons he's got a gut feeling that he's going to flop. Right. We need to give boys opportunities. We've not even seen
based on. I'm not. I mean, no. I thought he was.
Yeah,
he looked really bright against Spurs.
Yeah, you see them in action. Listen, the league starts on Saturday. We need to give these boys an opportunity to play for real for Rangers before making judgments. But
I've heard whispers that Tillman is impressed in quite a big way around the Rangers training centre. So I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised people are saying that. We'll know within 3 or 4 games roughly what he's going to bring, because you can always kind of tell based on their appetite, loan players for kind of Scottish football. I noticed Aldo, who's saying that, is also saying that he kind of had a gut feeling about Ahmad, which proved to be correct. But I thought Ahmad, God, we could talk forever about Ahmad Diallo. You know, I thought Ahmad came good in the end, and I think if he'd had a year-long spell, would have been a decent signing, actually. He kind of got to grips with what he was being asked to do as time went on. In terms of Lowry, Derek, I think that's a difficult one for him. He's really going to have to show he's got something about him, because as Craig's saying, that there's a lot of players now in that position capable of stepping in there. So he's really going to have to earn his spurs. And that's going to be a big challenge for him, because I think Tom Lawrence is a terrific player. I think Tillman is looking good. And I think that Lowry is probably behind those two at the moment. So he'll have to really, really dig in and show that he's got something about him. But every Rangers player has to do that. There's a psychological element to being a Rangers player. We saw this interview with Leon King, where he was talking about having a tattoo that's mind over matter on his arm, that he looks to when the going gets tough, and that he's kind of struggled sometimes with adapting to the big boys' dressing room, because you know these are grizzled professionals. If you're going in with an Alan McGregor or a Stephen Davis, they came through at a different time, and they are, you know, hard guys who want the win bonuses, who are committed winners, and they're going to be exacting in terms of standards, because it's Rangers Football Club. And I think Lowry has to sort of step up and face that one, because that's how you get your stripes as a Rangers player.
Yeah, totally agree.
No one said it would be easy.
No, it's not. It's not going to be easy. But as James Keane's saying, and said many people commenting in, the players need time to settle in. They absolutely do. And remember, Scottish football is unlike any style of football that these guys have played before. So we need to factor that in. There's plastic pitches and what have you, the physicality, all that you need to factor in. And as Rangers on Tour mentioned earlier on, John Lundstrom, a prime example of not writing a player off too early. Craig, I wanted to touch on a piece you've got on the website. It's one that supporters are perhaps maybe not concerned, but have reservations on who should start as the number one in goal. You've done a piece on Alan McGregor and John McLaughlin, how the Rangers goalkeeping debate is shaping up after pre-season. You're the manager, Craig. Who are you putting in goal at the Tony Macaroni?
John McLaughlin is a short answer to it. It's difficult because, you know, you look at the way, obviously, that was set up during pre-season in terms of we're a lot more patient and playing out from the back, and there's a clear emphasis on using the goalkeeper more. And, you know, I do get the argument that, you know, you're not going to come up against teams who want to press us in an own defensive third. So, you know, using the goalkeeper as a spare man is a bit, you know, sort of redundant tactic. So I think it's just more the other aspects. I think that you saw Alan McGregor's game breaking down last season. I think you saw a vulnerability to sort of long range shots. You know, I remember Hatati's goal at Celtic Park, the second one, where, you know, he's not even placed it in the corner. And that's a big goal. You know, that's a big goal in terms of how the game, you know, transpired. You know, if you get to half time at 1-0, then, you know, it's a completely different game. And I think you also saw, you know, and it's obviously something that people picked up in social media last season as well, was just that sort of inability to command, you know, your penalty box. You know, there's plenty of examples. Your Ross County, you know, their last minute equaliser up there. Even Dundee United, Tannadice, Ross Graham's header, you know, he's heading it from, you know, 6 yards out. I think it's that sort of intangible factors about McGregor. I think you saw it in the Spurs game that, you know, he can reach sort of higher peaks in terms of shot stopping compared to McLaughlin. I don't think you're going to get, you know, heroic performances at McLaughlin. But what I do think McLaughlin will give you is a lot more, you know, chance prevention in terms of being able to come out and collect crosses, being able to sort of handle, you know, these long rangers, you know, comfortably. So yeah, I think it is time. I think McLaughlin's bided his time, you know, under two different managers now, and we've saw it the last 2 seasons. He's sort of started the season as a first pick, and then it's obviously as it's went on, McGregor's been first choice. But yeah, I think, come Saturday, I would really like to see McLaughlin in goals.
Yeah. Sort of go along with what Susie's saying here, Johnny. He is more comfortable with the ball at his feet, although there was a few heart and mouth moments. And was it the West Ham or the Spurs game where Rangers are inviting pressure on? But that's going to happen, I think, with the way that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst wants to play. I go along with Craig. I think, Johnny, McLaughlin deserves a right good crack at it. And on that plastic pitch, the Tony Macaroni, I think he should get the nod. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a convincing argument about becoming that sort of extra defender that helps build play up from the back. As you both say, I think McGregor is a better shot stopper, has got a higher ceiling, is very good in the big games, never really lets anyone down if you're going against Celtic or if you're in European matches. So the thing about it is McGregor himself feels pretty comfortable, which is why he's continuing. Doesn't feel like there's been a drop-off. I don't think the stats were as bad as kind of the narrative has gone with McGregor about last season. Now, the season before, he was absolutely incredible. This is why he was picking up Player of the Year awards. It was something like, what was it, goals saved above average? What is that? That's a stat, Craig?
Yeah. I can't remember the figure, but it was,
it was crazy.
55 season was something like 8 or 9 goals saved above average. It was like monstrous. It was huge. And last year it was like 1.5. So it was a huge drop off from one season to the next. But there's probably an argument that his 55 season form was unsustainable. And last season's form was almost pretty much in parity with Joe Hart, who people think had a good season. It was just Allen made 3 or 4 howlers. I think we can agree on that. And key games that cost Rangers points, and it was those games that ultimately cost the title, or certainly contributed towards losing the title. But I think this kind of narrative that he had a really bad season isn't kind of backed up by the data. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not.
It's just, I don't think it was terrible. I think, as you say, I think the 55 season was completely unsustainable. I think that's, peak performance that. I think when you look at sort of the spread of the goals that he conceded last season, there was a lot more from that sort of, I call it sort of 0.2, 0.3 XG range, where it's, outside the box, as I mentioned, that sort of Hatate goal is a prime example of it.
Yeah.
That's something that you need your goalkeeper to save. And at the time, I don't think people really picked up on it. I think people thought, it's a pretty good goal, who's shutting him down, etc. But I think it's those type of goals that Rangers suffered from a lot last season. I think, as I said in my piece, I think from mid to close range, he's still a really good shot stopper. And I think that's something I thought about last season, if you were to put him in, a team like, Livingston, where they're facing a lot of shots and they're facing a lot of shots from inside the 6-yard box, I think he'd be, a hero for a season there. But I think the type of shots that Rangers concede, I think that, he has shown a definite vulnerability from that sort of range over the last season.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, like this comment came in from Stuart. No problem at all, buddy. It was something we should have done a while ago, but you can watch listen to our morning briefings wherever you get your podcasts as well. So glad that you're enjoying the content there. Wanted to touch on, there was a few comments coming in. First of all, Scott Marshall says, how good was that photo of Tugay and Yilmaz? Absolutely brilliant. I think everyone would agree. Johnny Tugay, what a player he was in his day. For me, criminally underused by Dick Advocaat. He went to Blackburn Rovers and he was a hero down there. He was just incredible. I would have loved to have seen him more at Ibrox, but such is life. But great photo of him and Yilmaz over in Turkey whilst Yilmaz awaits that work permit before he gets over to Glasgow. It shouldn't be a problem, folks, as well, that work permit. But what a photo that was.
Yeah, absolutely terrific, mate. And like you, there's a certain romance about Tugay if you're of a certain age, because he really was the cigar and slippers type central midfielder. Just a really, really impressive technical skill set. never gave the ball away, never looked hurried or fazed by any kind of pressure, was the ultimate in what the modern kids and people like Craig would call press resistant, because he was able to manoeuvre his body in such a way that he was very good at wriggling out of situations. Think Glenn Kamara, but I think on a significantly greater attacking technical level. He was fabulous. He was top class, top drawer, and I think a bit unlucky in his career that he ended up going from Rangers to Blackburn. I think he should have been moving to a bigger club, but I think he loved it there by all accounts. Derek, you know better than me, being based in that patch. But he's a legend there and thought of extremely highly. And I know when he was in the Premier League, he was considered one of the top midfielders, despite playing for what would be considered one of the lower lights at the time.
Yeah. Any player I speak to say he was the best player they've ever played with. He was that good, sensational footballer. And that ties in Susie and a number of other people commenting in. So any truth in this other Turkish midfielder, guys? Reports in the press that Rangers interested in another Besiktas player, midfielder, 21-year-old Kartal Yilmaz. Now I'll try and get to the bottom of this, see if there's any truth in that today, folks. Craig, have you managed to have a look at this guy at all, or are you aware of him?
No, I'm actually not aware of him, to be honest. I've been off. I was off Twitter last night, so yeah, I'm not too sure about him.
I'd be surprised if there was anything in this, Derek, given that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has already said that he's happy and that he doubts there'll be any more coming in unless people move out.
Yeah.
Now, it may well be that that's changed, that an offer has been made to Rangers. Look, what about this guy? Besiktas are looking for money, and Rangers think, wow, what a bargain. This guy's going to be terrific or whatever. But I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. We can check it out later on the day. But yeah. One thing, Derek, I wouldn't mind just bringing up is, guys, we get so many watches on this. It's over 10,000 a day, sometimes 15, 20,000, and sometimes a lot more than that. But we've got a tremendous deal on at the moment. Absolutely free. We've got a newsletter that goes out to your email inbox. So if you're at work, it's a cracking wee read to get you through the day. Comes out about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock every day, and there's an opinion piece by one of the team and a roundup of our best stories from the website. Like I say, it doesn't cost anything. So if you go to www.rangersreview.co.uk/email bulletins and sign up for the Rangers Insider, you'll get that. But on top of that, everyone who signs up at the moment gets put into a prize draw for a signed shirt from last season. So you've got the 150th anniversary home shirt signed by the squad that went to the Europa League. So you really do, if you win that, you're winning a piece of Rangers history for time immemorial. I think that's something that'll be very valuable going forward as a piece of Rangers memorabilia in 50 years' time. To have that, I think, would be something pretty special. So we've popped in the link there that you can use to go and sign up in the comments, and it would be a big help for us, guys, if those who are watching could go and do that. I know many of you subscribe to the website, and that's fantastic, and that's a huge help. But as I say, it's free content. It's a good piece of content that you'll get sent in, and you can have the chance to win what is a brilliant prize.
Yeah, Scott in Berlin, it is, folks, go and sign up to it. So many of you are. Scott in Berlin says, do you have any merchandise? Are we going to get rubber ducks and all that, Johnny? Is that in the pipeline?
It's maybe one for the future. Maybe one for the future as the website grows. Not at the moment. I have got a Rangers Review mug that my wife made for me and got made for me. But apart from that, that is the only piece of Rangers Review merchandise that we have at the moment. But we'll work on that, Scott. We'll work on that.
Yeah. And before we go, folks, I forgot to do it at the start. As you can see, One Football app is our sponsor for these videos. It is your one-stop shop for all your footballing needs. You can keep up to date with all the latest news from Ibrox. You can get notifications to your phone, any signing news and what have you, and you can scout the opposition, keep an eye on fixture lists and stats, all that sort of stuff. And you can keep abreast of all that's going on down south across the border, and also the European competitions as well. It's available for iPhone and Android users, and the good news about it is it's totally free, so it won't cost you a penny. So go and download it, folks. So many of you doing so and saying great things about the One Football app. So there you go. That's the sponsor out the way there, Johnny.
That was all that curry chat, mate. That threw you off, understandably.
Yeah, it certainly
you
did.
Get a total pass for that one. I'm sorry about bringing that up. I think that's unfortunate at this time in the morning for people trying to eat their breakfast.
Well, hopefully you have a sort of event. Well, a nice easy day, Johnny, and it's not as strenuous in the bathroom as it may be.
I'm feeling better for having talked to you boys and got it out of my system. You know, psychologically, just sharing it with the viewers has helped.
Yes, absolutely. Excellent. It's been great having you on, Craig. Thanks very much. And we'll get you on more often going forward. Remember, folks, Craig's a writer for the Rangers Review as well. Lots of fantastic content on the website just now. We've got that great deal on where it's just £2 for 2 months. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow to have a right good look ahead to the game at the Tony Macaroni on Saturday. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Thursday.